As I said before, my name is Bennie. I'm a compulsive overeater.
Hi, Bennie.
15 and 5 will do. My name is Bennie. I'm a compulsive overeater, and I weigh and measure 3 meals a day. Write them down. Call them into my sponsor. I do not eat in between my meals, and my abstinence truly is the most important thing in my life. And in a way, I hate it when I'm asked prior to speak, because I want to write out a script and make it really pretty and so intellectual. But I was told a long time ago, what we do is we share our truth. So I will tell you what I was like, what happened, and what I'm like now. I came to Gray Sheeters from other program. I started out in OA more than once. I remember going, and they were too crazy, so I didn't stay. And then finally I ended up back in OA, and I stayed. And I was having difficulty getting a sponsor. And this one lady told me, I'll be glad to sponsor you, but I go to a different program. It's called HAL. And I said, okay. So I followed her. And for me, the first 6 months in that program were just wonderful. But this sponsor had told me, I suggest that you don't add the grains back. But of course, I got a friend there, and we would go out to eat, and we would add the grain, and we would also, when you didn't have to, it was with exception, you didn't have to do the weighing when you went out to the restaurant, so I did a lot of eating out. And there was this restaurant on the old May Company, or Macy's, I don't know if that was the name, May Company, but Macy's over in West LA on, what is it, Pico, I believe, over here. And there was a restaurant there, and boy, did I love to eat there. So we would go and we would have our food, and we would have our plates piled high, because we could eyeball it. And then we would ask for our the dressing on the side, and then the grain, and then put the fat on the side. So we'd be there, and people were staring, but we didn't care. We were doing our thing. We were abstinent, and that's what we were allowed to do. To make a long story short, what happened in that program is one day I decided that I could take a frozen carb that didn't have sugar, and I could count it as part of my fruit and protein. And I started going to buy these packages. I think there was 6 in a package on sale. And I couldn't stop it. I would eat them. And then my mind told me, because I am a compulsive overeater, you're wasting a lot of money. Go buy the real thing. If you buy the real thing and you eat enough of it, then you'll get sick of it and you won't want it anymore. So I sit in the rooms at HAL, and I gained 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50, 60. I think it was 70 pounds I gained. People would say to me, because I stopped going to the big meeting that we had and sitting in the front like I used to, and I started going to the smaller meetings sitting in the back. And if I went to the large meeting, I would try to hide. And people would say, oh, I'm so glad, oh, you're back. And mentally, yeah, I was gone. But I had been there physically, but I wasn't following the program the way it was written, and I was doing my own thing because I thought I could, and it just didn't work out. How did I end up coming to Gray Sheet? There was a lady that I sponsored, and she started sponsoring me. And she says, I've heard of this program called Gray Sheet, and what we can do is go over there and take the food program and bring it back, and then maybe you can get abstinent. So, I was fine. And it was on a Saturday in September 1997. And there's a picture in the book that's going around that shows what I look like in 1997. There's one of me at a photocopy machine. And that's when I first started. And if you'll notice the Dolly Parton chest, if you look, there's another one in that same top at a book signing, and the chest is smaller. Tell me why the boobs go down first. I'm losing all my Dolly Parton look and still keeping the stomach. But anyway, I ended up following this program from the day that I started. There was a lady, she's no longer in these rooms, I think she's in another room, and if that another room works for you, so be it. It doesn't for me, but whatever, I'm not judging where she is, but I remember she took a backpack, and she had some spoons in there, and I think cups, and she had the digital scale, and she went up and it was like a show and tell. And I thought that it was a requirement that we had to have all of these. I thought that the scale had to be digital. And one day I was sharing that at a meeting, and someone told me, no, you don't have to have a digital. You just need to weigh and measure. It could be manual. Just weigh and measure your food. It does not have to be a digital. And what I would like to focus on is the awesome stop, the end. And what I mean by that, weighing and measuring my food in these rooms, for some reason, when I finish a meal, I don't go back for seconds. I don't have this thing in my stomach that says, when's the next meal? I'm starving. I don't have that. And I think I'm gonna have to accept that maybe what I've heard is true, that I am allergic to grains. Because before, in the other rooms, I was speaking to a gray sheeter about that. We used to be able to have this one substance which we measured by a tablespoon. Now, it wasn't the tablespoon the way we do it, with the T on it. So I would get a tablespoon out of my kitchen drawer, and I would heap it up, and I'd end up with a bowl of hot stuff to eat, because I had 1 tablespoon of this thing that I would eat every day. So that, I was putting myself in jeopardy from the beginning of the day, starting it off with that, so that I could feel starved and hungry for the rest of the day. After I had picked back up the weight, before I picked it up, there's a picture of me in a cap and gown. I had the self-confidence to go back to school. I went to law school. And in law school, I lost my I gave my abstinence away. I remember going out with a study group with two other women, and one lady says, well, we can do a study, and you can come over and we'll have lunch. So she fixed the white stuff that you put sometimes with protein. And I remember looking up, and they were staring at me because I was cleaning the pot. And I didn't even realize I was taking it all, but I was eating it all. But that's what I do. I never considered myself, step one, you know, we admitted we were powerless over food and that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, I never believed that I had to be restored to sanity. I thought I was sane, but I'm also the person that worked in a hospital and would take food that was left on trays. I'm also the person that worked in a mental institution where there was a communal kitchen, and some ants got into my carb, and I picked them out and I ate that. And that is insane. If somebody were to go out and say to someone, oh yeah, I just picked a few ants out of it, but you can share, and you want some, they would think, what in the world? But to me, you know, nobody saw me do it, and I got them, I think I got them all out, and I was able to eat that thing that I just had to have. Another thing that happens in our rooms is we don't eat no matter what. We don't have our slogans in the back today. We usually have NMW, there's another meal coming, and there's other slogans too. They are not little cute sayings. They are things that are for real. Let me tell you some of the no matter what's for me. The first thing is my cousin that I was reared with, that was like a sister, passed. And when I was a younger person, I used to think, I don't know what I will do if she ever died. If she dies, I don't know. Well, I weighed and measured my food. The next thing that I can recall that happened was abdominal surgery. Gray sheeters in this community brought me food that I could take to the hospital. That's what we do. In my other program, I think there was more smiles and hi, and that type of thing, but I never had anybody in that room offer to help me when I had a medical problem. I don't remember it anyway. Not that they weren't loving, but it's something that we do here. If you have a situation, you call a gray sheeter, and if they don't know the solution, they'll tell you. They won't make up anything, or they can refer you to someone that may be able to help you. That happened, the abdominal surgery. Then I had cartilage removed from the left knee, weighed and measured my food. Then I had the most horrific thing that happened for me is the death of my only child in 2010. I weighed and measured my cardboard tasting food. Then I had the death of my mother, but prior to that, no, it was after. The death of my mother, no. See what happens? I'm living on the planet too long. I had the death of my mother and I did not eat. I had a total knee replacement, and that may have been due to part of my eating, because when you're carrying around all that extra weight, is something that you're damaging your body, your heart, your liver, your joints, your everything like that. So, like I said, it's not just a cute little saying, is we don't eat no matter what. We don't eat if it's some joy we have in our life. If you just found out you won the $1 billion lottery, you don't go out and celebrate with a big card and candles. If you got dumped by your significant other, you don't go out and say, oh, poor me, let me eat. We don't eat no matter what. And there's always another meal coming. I've shared this story before. A lady gave me a recipe, and it sounded so great. So I fixed it up, had a big dish of it, and I had committed it. And it tastes like gruel. It was awful. But I had committed it, so I ate it. That's what we do. We don't go and just arbitrarily change our food. Now, I'm not saying that if you had committed something and you found out it's spoiled that you have to sit there and eat it. We're not insane. You call somebody and say, look, the food I committed is spoiled. You're not supposed to kill yourself in this program. This is a program for life, a new way of living. The best thing that I can say that's happened, since I was a slipper in the other room and had memorized all the slip questions, and they had to import the new ones for me from New York, is that I don't have to worry about what am I going to eat next? Where can I get it? Because there's boundaries. That's the word I'm looking for. We've got boundaries, but they're loving boundaries. Some people look at that gray sheet and they say, oh, this is too restrictive. No, it is not. The gray sheet comes with a sponsor. A sponsor tells you exactly what you can do with X, Y, and Z. And within the boundaries of the gray sheet is abundance and good, wholesome, filling food. Sometimes when I think about my meals, because I am who I am, my mouth is watering and I am thinking about that meal. But it's not that old thing that I used to have where I couldn't hardly wait for a meal and I'm sitting on my hands. It's a different thing. I'm allowed to enjoy my food. Go figure. I used to also say this, and it's the truth. The person that started Weight Watchers, Jean Nidich, owes me, her estate does, because she's not here. They owe me because I helped to make her the wealthy woman that she was. I joined and rejoined and Weight Watchers, I don't know, I can't even remember the times. I still saved, and I have it at home, one of my cards from the meeting. I want to keep it. I want to remember. I don't care if they've changed it, because when I started, you could have 90,000 free this and that, and then they did the points and now they got something else. I want to remember that I don't have to pay anything for this program. It is freely given. And it's not, I put money in our basket when we pass because I want to support the community. But there's no, okay, here's your fee for this meeting. There's none of that. We freely give to each other. What else is there to say? I feel like I've talked so much. I miss some people that aren't here, but there's a door right there that can open. It swings both ways, and perhaps sometime or another they may come back, and we would welcome them with open arms without judgment. And the reason that I show up, I'd much rather stay at home, but I could be one of the people that you'd be asking about. What happened to Bennie? Where is she? Because meetings keep me with the knowledge of who I am. I will never be cured. I have an arrested compulsion to eat without stopping. And I used to pray for Dick Gregory because he used to help people by cutting holes in the side of the walls. And I knew that one day it would be me because I just didn't know how to stop eating. I tried everything, and everything didn't work until I got here. And I've been here, thank you, I've been here now since 1997, and September it will be, 22 years. And I haven't gone anywhere. Another part of my story that I want to share before I end is after my son died, I had a kind of a normal size looking body. And then I looked up one day and I had grown. And what I had done is I had started eating, because we can eat heavy if we want to. And this is not a calorie counting program. This is not a program where you deprive yourself, but there's choices that you can make with the guidance of your sponsor. And I just looked up and I thought, what happened? My body had expanded. Well, recently, and I'm not vain, but let me tell you this. Da-da-da-da. Recently, as I pull the pants up, I'm getting Bennie back. Because I'm willing to follow what my sponsor has asked me to do. And with that, I'm going to end, and I just want to say that I appreciate each and every one of you that's here, and we don't eat no matter what, and I love Gray Sheep. Thank you.